What's up, y'all? And happy Thursday. Welcome back to AABTV, better known as Authentically Audrey B TV. I am your girl, Audrey B, and we are back for another recap of my favorite show, your favorite show, America's favorite show, Abbott Elementary. So let's get into it. All right, y'all. So yeah, I'm in a different location today, as usual. You know, my little low spot. But this episode, y'all, love is in the air. Love is in the air. It was a little tense. It was a little tense there in the show, but you know, love overcame, and I'm so happy. So the episode started off with Janine at her apartment, and Greg shows up. They're going on a date, and she was looking all cute, and you know, he was mentioning that, and then he was talking about some sardines, and she's like, I've been feeding the cat. Come to find out, that was no cat at all. I said, the people in this show, the characters, like, they're just comedy gold. Like, who would think of that? Like, and also, do y'all eat sardines? Because that's what she was leaving out. She was eating sardines. I tried it because it was like this big to do, like around Christmas time, the little sardine plate. I don't have to have them ever again in my life, y'all. They were not it. So they go on their date and they get back to school, and we find out while everybody is in the office or the lounge, I can't remember, but anyways, the librarian, she comes in and she reminds the teachers that it is now time for Candygrams. They called it, you know, I like you, so here's a heart, something like that. They called it like this long title, to be straight to the point, right? And basically, if you do not know what a candygram is, we used to do those in middle school too, but it's like you can sign up for a special treat and like a little cute little card to be given to your friend or your boo or whatever. And Barb was just talking about how you know, the kids being hyped up on all that candy, you know, just gets under her skin. And then but you know, it's a cute little gesture. And then Melissa was under the assumption that, you know, the older ones that her and Jacob work with are not going to be dealing with it. But Jacob was like, little do you know, some drama be starting through those candygrams. So you know, there's hormones, there's relationships, and you don't want to get in the middle school drama. And she's like, oh, I'm sure it's not going to be, you know, anything like that. Because at first she was just assuming that they didn't want no parts in it, but he let her know, no, they do. Meanwhile, Ava is in her office, and O'Shawn comes in, and they're talking, chit-chatting, and he's noticing all of these Valentine gifts that she has. And he's like, you know, where are all these coming from? And she's just like, you know, from, you know, exes, suitors, people who like me, people who still want me, like, you know, Ava, she's just like all about me. So, you know, she, you know, was just basking in all of these gifts, and he's looking around like, okay, I'm gonna get my work done, but I'm not feeling this. And he's like, you're gonna continue to, like, you're gonna keep this stuff? And she was just like, yeah, why wouldn't I? Like, she seen no problem in it. And I was like, oh no, Ava, please do not be this way. And so he kind of like just was like, okay, just checking to see how she was reacting. But he didn't say too much at the time. And then in the teacher's lounge, Greg comes in and he's hollering about his rent is going up. He can't afford it. Only way he will be able to afford it is if he continues doing like the drive share things, you know, delivering food and all of that stuff. And Mr. Johnson offered for him to move in with him. And he was just like, you know, we could be bachelors, da 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 da. And he was kind of like, I'm not too sure about that. And then all of a sudden, Janine blurts out, you can move in with me. And the record just stopped. And I was like, huh? What? What is this? Are you serious? They're really taking it up a notch. We're taking it up a notch, y'all. And so he's just like, really? She's like, yeah, you're over there all the time, you know, we can make it work. I've been at my place for a while. You bring your things in, we, you know, share this, share that, you know, we'll do what it is that we need to do to make it work. And he's just like, and everybody's just looking like, what are you gonna do? Because Melissa was in there, Barb was in there, and Mr. Johnson was in there. And he was just like, okay, we can move in together. And so he was excited about it. And I was like, I didn't had my share. I didn't live with my boo too. But I was just like, oh God, what's gonna happen with this new dynamic? Oh Lord, I don't know. But then I was like, are they gonna get married? Like, what's gonna be now that they're gonna be living together now? And so Mr. Johnson, he kind of felt some type of way and made a little joke and went on about the day. Now, when Barb was in the library reading to her class, Melissa pops in because she wants a list of her students so that she can know who is getting a candygram and who is not. And so she looks, everybody's getting one except for one of her students. And she's like, ugh. She's like, I knew it. And so Barb comes up, is like, what's the tea, basically? And they talk about this student who Barb had, in kindergarten, and he's not quite liked by everybody. They called him a nerd, and she was like, I knew that he was going to be the only one. Like, what can we do about this? So they devised this plan to where they're going to send him Candygram so that, one, he won't feel left out, two, nobody will make fun of him, and three, they feel like he's a great kid, and they just want to make him happy, right? And when Jacob finds out about this, he's like, I'm telling y'all do not want to get involved in this. This could go totally in the opposite way of what you all think it's going to be. And they was like, oh, whatever. Like, really, they're middle schoolers. It can't be that deep. And then while all of that's going on, we see that Tariq also is at school. He's part of the PTA. He's stepfather of the year with Nick, and he comes in and he lets Greg know that he found out that they're gonna be moving in together, and he throws all of these little jabs at him, and not intentionally doing it to like be petty, but he's just kind of like being Tariq, just letting him know, like, yeah, I got my GameCube in the cabinet. Don't turn it off because I'm still doing something with Super Mario Kart. Like, if those walls could talk, like, just all of these things that it can be, a deterrent for Greg to really decide to move in with Janine. Now, like I said, he wasn't doing it to be malicious. He was just talking, just to be talking, just for the sake of it, like Tariq always does. And as he was talking, I was like, oh gosh, he's gonna change his mind. He's gonna change his mind, because it's like somebody else is on the other end saying things like, how is this gonna work, what is this gonna be like, and all this other stuff, and all these little people in your ear can throw you off sometimes and make you second guess what you want to do. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be bad. But I could tell it was bothering him. It was kind of getting into his spirit a little bit. And so when Jacob finds out, he's excited, but he's another one who was like, what about when you want to do this, or you want to do that? You're going to see each other all the time. And, you're going to want to have your colanders, and you're going to want to have two of everything. And what are you going to do? And all this other stuff. Again, crazy stuff being put into his head that's kind of making him be like, I'm overwhelmed. And so we see that he comes over Janine's, and he's like looking around, piddling around at one point, and he sees some markings on the wall, and he sees the GameCube in the cabinet, and he's just like, how about for date night we pretend to be a couple that a pretend couple, but we go and we shop around for these apartments to get an idea on decor, because at that time she was trying to help him figure out how they were gonna move his stuff in, where it was gonna be placed and stuff like that. And so she's like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. But at the same time, in his mind, he's thinking, at that point, I'm thinking that he's thinking either he's going to change his mind and not want to move in with her, or he wants to move into like this fresh new space with her or whatever. And so but he doesn't tell her that. And if y'all know me, y'all know that when I watch a movie or a TV show, I'm just like, just tell her how you feel. Why does it have to be just spring along this whole entire episode? Just tell her how you feel. Tell her how you feel. But then that takes away from the drama, right? Right. So They pretend to be a doctor and another whatever Janine was pretending to be with that accent, child. So they go and they look at apartments, and they're not really digging them. Like, the apartment that they were in was worse than hers. And again, she's under the guise of this is just a date night. They're just looking for decor, but of course there was nothing in there for them to get ideas for decoration with. And so finally, Greg has this moment where he's just like, I don't want to move into your apartment with you. And then it goes to commercial, and the whole time I was like this, oh no, what's happening? What's gonna come of them? Because she was so shocked. Like, you would have seen her face, y'all. She was so shocked. But even before all of that, y'all, when it came to Ava and O'Shawn, he was done with whatever work he was supposed to do, and he was done with Ava too, because homeboy was still looking in the office like, so you're really gonna keep all of these? Like, you're really gonna keep all these gifts? And she was like, yeah. And he was just like, well, I'm not comfortable with it. And she's like, don't be insecure. What do you mean? I don't want these people. They just want me. Like, it's nothing. Like, you tripping. And he's like, I'm tripping? All right, well, I'll talk to you later. And Mr. Johnson was like, oh, it's getting heated in there. He was eavesdropping with the cup on the glass as if the door wasn't right there. I was like, that man is out of his mind. But he kind of put like a little spice in the episode. I was just like, oh, Ava, girl, don't you mess up this good relationship you got going on, girl. And Mr. Johnson and her have a quick conversation about it. And he just basically told her, like, you need to consider how O'Shawn feels about it, not just how you feel about it. Like, you can't, don't lose somebody over something as small as this. And don't also make him feel like he's not important to you. If he don't like it, you got to understand that, like, he's your man, basically, is what he was telling her. And so he comes in and he's like, well, telling her all of these things. And he's just like, well, I'm leaving. And she's like, look around. She was like, there's no need to be upset. You're the only milk chocolate that I want. And they kiss and they all lovey-dovey. And he sees that, she gave all the gifts to Mr. Johnson. He's baby girl now. And, everything is cool. And I was just like, love. Now, back to Janine and Greg. So Janine is still looking like, what do you mean? Like, I thought you wanted to do this. And he's just like, it's too many memories there as far as like your past. And I feel like it wouldn't be my space. I feel like it would just be me infiltrating you. It's too much to wreak there. It's too many things that other people are so familiar with, and I just don't feel comfortable, moving into that spot. And she's just like, well, why didn't you tell me? And of course, like, he didn't want to hurt her feelings, but they ended up come to agreement that he still wanted to move in. But what if they did think about getting a new place? That way they both can start fresh. And she agreed, and they were all love. And then we get back to the school, right? And remember, the Candygrams are going around. And so I think the little boy's name was Trayvon. He gets or Trevin or something like that, start with a T. Well, they're passing it out, and he gets one. And Melissa and Barb, they feel so good about it, but Jacob is still like, I told y'all this ain't gonna be good. Y'all, the drama that ensued after that. I said, oh, these kids are something else. They go and see that there's a huge chaotic scene in the hallway where some little girl is like, I want to know who sent my man a candygram, because I'm a whoop her and da-da-da. Like, we gonna fight. You messing with my man. And everybody's just looking around, and Jacob was like, I told y'all. Like, I told y'all. And they just like, oh, this is crazy. And so they was like, look, we sent it to him. we just wanted to be nice. We didn't want him to be the only one left out. And then the guy, he go like, y'all sent me pity candy, and throws it down. Then everybody, the kids, start, rambling for it on the ground. But the little girl was just like, first of all, he got a woman, and my man don't ever try to put no pity on my man. And he's like, yeah, I got a girlfriend, and it's always gonna be me and her. And she was like, clock it. And then they walked away, and they both looked at each other like and then Jacob was just like, didn't I tell y'all y'all don't want to get into this middle school drama. And they was like, whole time you had a girlfriend, we didn't even know. And that's what they get for assuming. So yeah, that was that. And then also, while Janine and Greg were, looking for their apartment, they were just seeing how stuff is like so expensive. Can't afford it. They don't know what to do. And so maybe they should just stay in Janine's apartment. And then she was just like, I can't even afford the apartment upstairs from me. And he kind of had this light bulb go off, and he's like, what do you mean? She was like, it's only $400 more. And he's like, we can afford $400, but she's just going. I can't afford this, and I can't do this. And he's like, but we can. And then she kind of looks up, and he's like, are you so used to the fact that Tariq never chipped in and helped with anything that you forget that I have a job? And she was like, this basically like this feeling, this look on her face, like this whole time she's been thinking about like what she can afford, what she can handle with her finances, not taking in the fact that he's also a teacher, and and like he said, be splitting everything in half. She was just like, oh my gosh. She was like, he was like, the rent is gonna be split in half. She was like, and the utilities too. And he was like, yes. And it was like this relief. She was like, toilet paper? I can buy the toilet paper. He was like, we can go half on that too. And she was just like, like she was just like taken aback, and I was like, dang, like it be like that, like. But I'm also was just like, oh, he's so sweet, they so cute, because it's like, he's like, girl, I got you. Like, I'm not Tariq, I'm not a bum, I'm gonna hold up my end, and we're gonna do this. Like, I'm serious about you. And she felt just so much better behind that. So they were gonna check into the apartment above where she lives now, and put in their application, and that's where they're gonna live. Well, by the end of the episode, that is where they are. They are on the second floor. They are, they have all of her stuff in there. They got some new things in there. They're trying to figure out how they're going to sit, next to each other at the table. So they're switching and doing all these different arrangements. And they finally get settled, and she mentions like, oh no, well, what is the cat going to think now that I'm not there anymore? And he just looks at the screen, and then that's the end of the episode, because we all know, and he knows, unbeknownst to Janine, that wasn't a cat. That was a whole human being eating them daggone sardines. But yes, y'all, this was a love again. Even the little kids got some love. So this episode was really cute, and it was it just makes me think of like where other episodes and other seasons will take it, because they've moved in with each other. Like, are they gonna get engaged, have babies? Like, what is going to be next for Janine and Greg? They even had Jacob thinking about moving in with his boo Elijah. So, and then with the lovebirds, Ava and Oshan, like, what's gonna come of that? Will they be next to kick it up a notch in their relationship? And then also, y'all, if you were Greg and Janine, and you were in Greg's position, in Janine's position, or whichever one, what would you do? Would you move in with your current love? Would you bite the bullet and just pay the rent increase and just work extra? And how would you feel if one of your friends did that? Now, some people would say, you know, don't shack up, don't live together when you're not married. It leads to other things that we aren't supposed to be doing before we get married. But a lot of people have their own opinions about that. But like I said, I've shacked up before, but I chose not to any longer. But at the same time, sometimes people do it for other reasons, and don't always make it right. But at the same time, you know, I understand. But do you feel like Greg and Janine moved too fast? Do you think he should have moved in with Mr. Johnson, and how that could have worked out? But let me know in the comments. And yeah, I think that's it. We're finally back at school. We've been out for a week, and then 2 days this week, I think. We didn't have kids, so yeah. Snow, go away. Don't come back again another day. That's how I feel about now. But I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here. I hope you guys enjoy the recap. I hope you guys enjoy the episode too. I thought it was so cute. Like Greg, at that moment when he reassured her, like, girl, I got you. Like, you ain't gotta do this all by yourself. Like, I'm gonna be with you. Like, it just like healed something in her. I was like, oh my gosh, that is so sweet. Oh gosh. Well, I'm gonna let you guys go, and I will see you guys in a few weeks, because I think the next 3 Wednesdays they don't have any episodes coming out. So, you know, rewatch gang, watch the episodes previous of these old seasons, rewatch some of these recaps, y'all. We have come a long way with this Abbott Elementary stuff, but I love it. Like I said, it's my favorite show, and I appreciate you guys as always for watching. I appreciate you. I do. I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here, and I will see y'all later. Peace.